Well, good morning, guys, and welcome to Coffee with Chris here on the channel, which is More Than Sawdust. If you haven't joined us before, thank you for watching, and if you have, I certainly appreciate you returning. I explain this at the beginning of every video, just in case it's a first-time viewer. But Coffee with Chris is just a weekly video that we put out, usually on the weekends. And it's in addition to our normal weekly build videos or whatever else we got going on. And so it's just a way for us to talk. We have kind of a running dialogue, and we present topics, and I take you guys' comments and feedbacks and go over them. And so I appreciate all of the comments we get every week, and man, I love doing these videos. So man, it's been a busy week. I didn't have any submissions coming in. I'm going to put my email on the screen here. I'd love for you guys to send in things that you're building, things that you're working on, things that you're creating, so that I can share them with the viewers here on the videos. We didn't get any sent in this week, so I don't have any to share with you guys, but please send those in. It doesn't matter if it's large or small. If it's if you're a beginner and it's a first project you're building, or man, if you're a expert woodworker and you got something just insanely detailed that you're working on, I'd love to share it. But yeah, it's been a crazy busy week this week. We are a couple things. We've been opening our pool this week, and if any of you have pools at your houses, you know that that certainly can be a painstaking task. And so we have been doing that this week. We're a few weeks late than we normally are opening it because of weather and things like that. But I'm up against a hard deadline. We have once a year, sometimes closer in the middle of the summer, but once a year we have my in-laws, my wife's family, everybody drives the 2 hours down towards us and come hang out at the pool. We have a lot of nieces and nephews. I cook out. I love to cook, and so I cook out and barbecue, and we just spend the whole day hanging outside. And so that is next weekend. So I've got 1 week to get the pool totally ready, and I've got a lot of other projects I'm doing in the wood shop. So along with getting the pool opened up and starting that process, also I've been working on a pretty good sized project for the shop. That video will be out hopefully middle of this next week. And so I'm doing another shop upgrade with the router table. And so I'm taking my basic skill router table that I've got and putting it in a cabinet so that I've got more storage for the bits and just anything that involves with the router. And so I wanted to have that all together in one cabinet, and I can make it more mobile and wheel it around the shop and things like that. And that actually is kind of going to lead me into the topic at the end of today's video. But I just want to kind of give you guys a heads up on what was coming out this coming week. And then I've got several other projects that I'm working on as well. I'm pretty excited today, though. Today's Saturday. This video will be out, tomorrow morning on Sunday. But I'm going and dropping off the bowl. If you guys watched the video from several weeks ago, where I did the power carving of the dough bowl. First time I've ever done that. I'm actually dropping that bowl off today. It's finally got done totally drying. It moved quite a bit, so I had to go back and flatten out the bottom somewhat, which I used the hand plane on. And if you saw one of the other videos, I talked about just now learning how to use some of that stuff. And but got it flattened out, so I'm taking it and dropping it off to the client today. I've sent her some pictures along the way of the process, so pretty excited to get that to her and let her see it. So it ought to be a fun day in regards to the woodworking, and I get to go tinker around the shop and continue working on this router table cabinet. So, but man, let's get to our topic from last week. And I had some fantastic responses came in this week. I've got 4 that I want to share with you about the technology versus woodworking piece. Now, I also asked a question last week about glue bottles, and just kind of on the side, and I had several people write in with little tips for how to keep glue bottles from clogging up and things like that. And so some of them pertain to just simply cleaning the tip of the glue bottle off before you get done with it for the day, which seems like a real common sense thing. But normally, when I get done working, at least I'm ready to be done, and so I just leave it sitting there typically. So probably not the best practice, but so some things like that, just cleaning the tip off, taking a few minutes to make sure that you get the glue off, put the cap on, that kind of thing, which are very practical, good advice for sure. One guy said just forget about all the fancy the bottles and just use a mustard bottle, squeeze bottle. He said, trust me, it works. And hey, at this point, I'm willing to do anything because it aggravates me so much. So, but I appreciate you guys commented on that because as silly as that sounds, that's something that can be aggravated. You're getting ready to do a glue up, you go to squeeze your glue out and you can't get it out, and then you got to unclog your bottle and all that stuff. So, but let's get on the topic of the technology versus woodworking. And the question I posed last week, or the topic was, how do those two things work together? Is it really woodworking if you use a laser engraver or a CNC? Because there's opinions about that, and I know that seems kind of crazy, but some people have very strong opinions on, if a machine does some of the work, it's not woodworking. And then again, as you'll see in some of these comments, there's also a thought process of if you're literally not using old school hand tools, old school craftsmanship in woodworking, if you're using a skill saw versus a hand saw, it's not woodworking. So there's a lot of different ways you can look at that. I always look at it from the point of like a laser engraver or CNC, because those have gotten so predominant in the woodworking industry now. And I watch guys on YouTube that have rooms with 4 or 5 laser engravers. There's a guy I like watching his videos called, I think it's the Clack Shack, and he has a lot of machines out in his shop, and I've learned a lot about setting up a laser engraver, and I'm actually taking some tips from some of his videos. My project here in the next week or so is building an enclosure around the laser engraver. So there's a lot of great stuff on the technology that's out there. And then, of course, from big production standpoint, I talked about last week, you go on Etsy, a large percentage of stuff on Etsy is made with CNCs because you can just cut out a lot of things fast, and it really speeds up the time. And so a lot of opinions on it, but I presented that. And so I got some comments that I wanted to go over with you guys, as always. And I'm going to put them up on the screen when I edit the video. I think a few of them are really long, so we'll see. They may be real small font, but here we go. So I think I'm just going to read all these out, and then I wanted to kind of just give some thoughts. So and these are from several of them are from people that we get frequent comments from. So certainly thank you as always for keep continuing to comment. Our friends at Creative Maple Woodworks 4640 says, I had a CNC and loved it. It was a time saver. I really like being able to design things when I'm not able to be in the shop. I think it falls in line with innovation in home building. Sorry. We used to have to marry 4 2x12s for a 20-inch span, for a 20-foot span, sorry. I can't read. And now we have micro laminates that can do twice the span and half the width. I think CNC type work is just another innovation. However, there are so many things that a CNC is not capable of doing, and those things require the skill of a true craftsman, in my opinion. Yeah, absolutely. And so you're really right. I mean, the innovation spans across not just our like in-home shop woodworking, but I was a home inspector prior to really doing this, and so many things have changed over the years in building homes, and the way that trusses are made, and the way beams are made, and you can talk about that all day long. That's a whole different topic there. But yeah, innovation is always happening, and anytime you're talking about the way things are built, the way things are made, the way things are created, and of course, people are always trying to improve the efficiency, get more done quicker. And so, yeah, I think across the span of everything that goes on, innovation is always part of it. And I like your comment at the end there, but there are so many things that a CNC is not capable of doing, and those things require the skill of a true craftsman. And that's an interesting topic, and actually, it's something I thought about posing for this week, coming week's topic. But I think we're going to have that conversation one of the other shows because that's something I'm very curious about people's opinion on what can't be done with a CNC that you have to really do with kind of old school hand tools and things like that. And so that's something we're going to venture down the road here shortly in a video. But thank you for your comment, Maple Woodworks. Our friend M Blackford 100, he says, "Hey Chris, I bought a 20-watt diode laser 3 to 4 years ago, and I love it. Actually, my wife and adult kids have used it more than I have, and at this point, I am sure my wife would say I use her laser." Man, that's so funny. I think I put my response to you on the comments. That's one thing my wife's already mentioned. With her apparel business, she's getting into making hats and things like that. Kind of on the side for fun. And actually got a bunch of leather patches in this week for us to start laser engraving some leather patches. And she kind of hinted around the other day. She said, I know you hadn't really got into the laser yet, because yes, I said it last week. I'll say it again this week. I still haven't got to it. I've just been so busy. But she's like, I could probably play with it, figure it out for you, and then, I could use it. So I got a feeling that may be the way my laser ends up too. And so, but he said, I'm sure my wife would say I use her laser. It is great to make different items out of thinner ply material, but also allows you to make additional items that you could offer at your booth as impulse buys for customers, like coasters, slate signs, wood Christmas ornaments, and or pictures, and or sayings to other products that you make. You can do custom orders with them as well. I've seen someone at local markets that brings a laser and they make pet memorials engraved on bricks. I too have seen that, and our neighborhood around here, the shows we go to, one of the areas we do the shows in, it's a huge pet area, and that's something I've thought about adding to just a product line for this year. Is a lot of pet products. I've got 3 or 4 that I've sketched out. I've got down in my notebook, and yeah, people love their pets in the area I live, and they always have their dogs walking around the shows. So they have several designs made, then they can add your pet's name to it. Yeah, customizing everything. What makes it nice is you can start a project on it and let it run while you're working on something else. I definitely think they're part of the woodworking shop. As far as a tabletop CNC goes, they belong in the shop as well. A good friend of mine started building custom guitars when he retired last year, and he uses a CNC to produce the body of the guitar, and he does everything else by hand. It saves him hours on each one. And I think that's what we're talking about, is just the efficiency that these machines can bring to it. Some people grumble at him, and still have their opinions on that. But he sounds like he's a hybrid woodworker, and that's a term I've heard quite a bit, is hybrid woodworker. He uses a CNC to make his guitar bodies, and then he handcrafts everything else on the guitar. And if you've ever tried to make a guitar, I've never tried it, but I've watched several people making them. And you can't be off on anything. Things have got to be spot on, and of course, guitar's not going to work once it's done. So it's a pretty cool process. If you've never watched a YouTube video on people making guitars by hand, check one of those out. It's really cool. But yeah, so hybrid woodworking, that's kind of what we talked about last week, is there's a way to integrate both those together, and it sounds like your friend has kind of got that down pat. Yeah, and that's really why I wanted to get into it and talk about that a little last week, is really to be able to customize the stuff, especially for the holiday season. And that's why I want to get this thing up and going, because I want to start building up product, because that was the big time for us last year. We did more in a couple months for the holidays at the end of the year than I did the rest of the year all put together. So time to start building up inventory, and I want to talk about that here in a little bit also. Let's see, our friends at Alder and Elm Woodworking, they say the evolution of technology is constant. One could argue that using a table saw or a router is not woodworking, because it is not the old way of doing things. I have seen growth get lost in the mindset of this is how we have always done it. Many times. Imagine where the car industry would be without robots assisting with welding assembly. Even Henry Ford's assembly line could not keep up with today's car demand. Laser cutters and CNC machines create efficiency in the same way. That said, An all hand tool woodworker often caters to a different clientele that values the process and the craftsmanship more than production speed. So fear of competition should not be a factor. Again, just talking about the innovation and the efficiency that those machines bring. So very similar to the last comment. There's definitely a place for all of it, I think. And after we did the video last week, I spent the week kind of thinking about that as I've been out working in the shop. And I think it's just a time and a place. And they hit on that here, talking about there is a different kind of clientele. There is a different process. I think when you're selling a product, I think there's two types of thoughts for the consumer. I think there are the consumers that want the items they want just because it serves a purpose or a function in their home. They think it's neat, they think it's pretty, it's decorative, whatever the item is. And they want it, they don't care how it's made. They want it for the best price available, as fast as they can get it. How quickly can I get the item? It's like a lot of things in retail or in sales or with merchandise or products. If I can't get the item, in 3 to 5 business days being shipped to me, I'm going to go to the next one in line, the next one on Etsy, the next one on Marketplace or whatever, get a hold of them or look at their descriptions. How fast can they get it here? Oh, okay. They can get it here in 3 days. The other guy's 7 days. I'd rather have it in 3 days. And I'll even pay a few extra dollars if I need to. So I think that's one mindset that consumers have. The other mindset is just what you're saying. The other mindset is, I don't really care about the wait time. I would rather have something that I believe as a consumer is made with better quality. And I want this guy that's been doing this for 30 years, that's a master craftsman with his hands. I want it to be handmade because that means more to me. And I'm not saying one is better than the other. So that's not where I'm going with that. What I'm saying is I think in some respect there is two different ways to look at that. And it is two different types of clientele or two different mindsets. And I mean, I know people, I've watched videos on people and they're 5 to 7 months or longer on tables and furniture and things that they build because it is done, the process is longer because of the way it's made. And people don't mind waiting on that. So, yeah, definitely two different mindsets. And that's, we could talk forever on that as well. But I'm glad you brought that up because that's it is two different things, I think. And while the technology can be combined together with the old school woodworking, I definitely think there's a place for one or the other for particular purposes and particular types of items, products, manufacturing, and things like that. And then the last one I got for us this week is from Bama Dave 501. And Bama Dave, send me another comment after this video. One, Bama, I'm an Arkansas man. I'm a Razorback guy. Obviously, we got a little sore spot for Alabama because you guys have hammered us pretty hard for a lot of years, especially on the football field. And so we compete pretty well with you on baseball and basketball, but on the football field, well, you're an SEC guy. It's rough. So it's rough for us. So, but I still appreciate it anyways, Bama Dave, even though you're a Crimson Tide guy. We'll let bygones be bygones, and we'll join together in the woodworking brotherhood and forget about our SEC rivalry. I'm kidding, man. Thank you for writing in. I appreciate it. Bama Dave says, by the way, 501, Bama Dave 501. 501's my area code. So are you in Alabama? What's up with 501? Leave me a comment, man. Leave me a comment. I want to know what's going on with the 501. But he says, is a skill saw woodworking when there's a hand saws? Is the nail gun woodworking when there's hammers? Did screws ruin woodworking when there's always been joinery and nails? Love your videos. Man, I mean, that's as simple as you can put it. You're exactly right. I think, there's always been innovation. It may not be what we know now as innovation, but it's always been there. And so, yeah, anybody can look at anything and say, that's not the way it should be done. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. I think it's just how do you want to do something and what's the purpose you're doing it that way. And again, that's we could sit here and have hours and hours of conversation on the best way to do different things. Um, Bama Dave, one more thing, man. I did watch one of your shorts this morning as I was kind of getting up and waking up for the morning, and it's the one you put out. It's a short you got on your channel about you're driving around your neighborhood and you're waiting for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to roll over on your speedometer of your truck. And man, that made me, man, I loved it. I chuckled about that because that's something I would do. And that's one of those things that I don't know, man. Like I call it stupid guy stuff that only certain personalities would get a kick out of that. So, man, I appreciate you putting out a short on that because, man, it made me laugh this morning and made my day. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And what really got me cracked up is you said you've been waiting for like 300 miles for that opportunity to literally roll over. So, man, thank you for making my morning this morning, Bama Dave. Loved it, brother. Loved it. So, man, those are some great comments. Again, that's a topic that we could go on forever and ever. And it does kind of still meld in with what I wanted to talk about this week. I said that I've been doing quite a few shop upgrades in my shop, not with my equipment. I still got all the same saws and everything that I had 3 months ago when I did a shop tour video, or 3 months, 4 months ago, whenever it was, that I did the shop tour video. But I've improved the efficiency of some things in the shop as far as layout, storage, and things like that. And you guys have seen that through several of the videos, and you'll see that again with this router table cabinet that I'm building. And the reason why I'm doing all that is because not necessarily to show off. Of course, we all want our shops to look how we want them to look, and whatever that is, whatever your style or design or your preference is, or what your need for the shop is. What do you make in your shop? What do you create? That always lends to needing things to be set up a different way or different types of equipment or whatever. And that's to each his own, of course. But the reason why I've been doing it is to help improve efficiency, because I am working throughout the rest of this year with my woodworking business to come out with some products, lines of products that I can make in batch out. I can make in bulk when need be. I'm working on some products for realtors. I used to be a home inspector, so I know a lot of realtors for closing gifts for their clients and things like that. So that's why I'm doing some of these upgrades in the shop, is to help improve those parts of my woodworking business. And of course, while you're doing that, you can make things look like you want, ideally. But what I want to talk about this week or talk about next week, is how is your shop, for those of you that do one-off type products. You make stuff for friends or family. You like to build tables. You like to build pieces of furniture for particular reasons. Obviously, unless you got a big warehouse, you just can't build a boatload of tables and stash them in a normal garage like most of us have that we do woodworking in. So for people that do one-off products or one-off items, or just hobby woodworking because you like building stuff for your own home or for friends and family, the way your shop is set up differently if you're doing that versus if you are batching out things to sell on Etsy or to sell at craft fairs or markets like we do sometimes. And I thought this would be an interesting topic because I get a lot of comments, and I've gotten some emails from newer woodworkers, which I'm not that old of a woodworker, but newer woodworkers on, they don't really know how to set up the shop, what they need, the processes. And of course, that's part of More Than Sawdust. The channel is you guys, you'll see as we go through the next many months and so on and so forth down the line, building a woodworking business and figuring out what works and doesn't work. That's part of why I want the channel to be like it is. And I show you just about everything I build in the shop, whether it's upgrades or little small products, so people can just get ideas for things. But How is the shop set up differently for those two mindsets? One-off things, small hobby things versus batching out for bigger amounts of sales, flea markets, craft fairs, Etsy, online sales, things like that. So I've had questions. I've had a couple people email me wondering about that kind of stuff. So I thought that'd be a cool topic this week. Is for you guys that have your shop set up different ways to help cater towards what you do. Why do you have it set up that way, and how does that help you in your particular niche or your particular mindset of woodworking? And I feel like this is something everybody could have an opinion on. So, man, I hope we get a ton of comments, and if we do, we'll make this several weeks of videos. So it's certainly something to talk about forever. But I thought it'd be great for newer woodworkers to get a lot of different perspectives from people as well on how to maybe set up or direct their shop towards a particular discipline or mindset of woodworking. So that can be a very broad topic. So, man, I can't wait to see what you guys say. And I've got 3 or 4 more Coffee with Chris videos topics in my head. So we can make this thing stretch out as long as we need to. So, man, thank you for joining me this morning. I certainly appreciate it. Don't forget to send me your builds. Send me what you're working on. We didn't have any this week, and I hated that. Please send me pictures or little videos of what you're working on, why you're working on it, what it's made out of. I really want to share that stuff. I think it's cool for everybody to be able to see what other woodworkers are working on. Like I said, whether it's beginner or advanced, doesn't really matter, man. Just let's celebrate that stuff together. Here's my email again. Please send that to me. And on that note, since next week's topic is about your shop and why it's set up that way, obviously, I don't have time to do 30-minute shop tours on here, but man, send me a quick snippet of panning your shop. If you want to send me a short video, and if we need to, man, we'll venture down this topic for several more weeks. I would love to do that because I'd love to get a big variety of input from you guys and comments. But email me a short video if you want of your shop or the way it's set up, and then description of why you've got it that way. And man, we can show those on here too. I'd love to share why you've got it and have a good visual aid for it. So man, send me stuff. Email me your videos. Email me your pictures, your builds. That's what this is all about. It's about creating community. It's about having fun. It's about celebrating woodworking, man. So thanks for joining me again this morning, guys. I certainly appreciate it. That's for my brother-in-law. It says I never drink coffee on the videos. And so thank you so much. Take care. Be blessed.